All right, first of all, I want to say good morning to the press. As you know, my name is Zaki Beruti, and we're going to read the complete statement, as well as we're going to make sure that the mayor has a copy of it that expresses our complete opposition to his request for more police officers. But before we read the statement, I just want to make a couple of observations. Observation number one is, are we under a police state? I just, in my observations coming into City Hall, seeing an overwhelming number of police officers. This is what America, democracy look like. When we go to the mayor's office, and the mayor should be a reflection of the people, and his office is locked down. Is that a reflection of democracy, or do we have dictatorship? So those are the observations that I would like to make. And moving forward, though, we have a young lady named Candace Cage with Helping Hands, one of our coalition members, and she will read the entire statement, and then we'll entertain a couple of questions. Ms. Cage.
In December 2014, Mayor Slay and Chief Dotson announced an $8 million proposal to increase the St. Louis Police Department by 160 new officers in 2 years, mostly through increased ticket and fleet revenue. Mayor Slay has attempted to justify this plan by citing an alleged jump in crime in the city since August, but as the recent police murders of Michael Brown and Eric Garner show, more police does not equal safer communities. More police only guarantees increased targeting of poor and peoples of color. We oppose any increase in either police powers or numbers. Chief Dotson cites an alleged Ferguson effect to explain a supposed increase in homicides in 2014 over the previous year. Looking at the actual crime statistics he used and those cited by the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, the actual major increase was in the spring of 2014, months before the Ferguson protest began. As well, the 31st December Post-Dispatch article entitled St. Louis Homicides Up More Than 30% in 2014 to the highest total since 2008. Shows no increase in homicides in St. Louis County for the entire year of 2014 over 2013. If Dotson is attempting to blame the Ferguson protest for the spike in homicides, shouldn't there have been an increase in the St. Louis County when the actual protest first occurred? This shows how politicians and police officials like Chief Dotson will use fear and manipulate statistics to justify increases in their own powers and demonize communities challenging police brutality. Mayor Slay and Chief Dotson could have used the aftermath of the murder of Michael Brown and international focus on police violence and systematic racism as an opportunity for the St. Louis to become a model city that attempted to tackle the greatest risk to people's survival and the root that causes the crime. They could have proposed initiatives to confront worsening poverty in the city, lack of access to health care, adequate housing, and education. After months of protests, politicians like the Democratic Mayor Slay have been forced to propose band-aids for months like police cameras. Meanwhile, they continue criminalizing large sections of black youth and the poor. The Colonel Commission, assembled by President Johnson in 1968, after 3 years of riots to investigate the cases of strife in communities of color, proposed systematic solutions to confront racially segregated communities. Inferior schools, high unemployment, and racist police violence. Our politicians today ignore systematic approaches like those proposed in the 1960s, yet wonder why their programs fail to seriously tackle crime and only lead to indignation of communities of color. We, like the rest of Black Lives Matter movement, demand nothing less than fundamental change. Due to the racist and unequal nature of St. Louis City and the U.S. society more broadly, any additional police officers will continue to target the most marginalized in the city, the poor, people of color, and those with disabilities. Racism, in fact, dictates who gets arrested, stopped, and length of their prison terms. In St. Louis County, for example, 40% or more of their annual revenue comes from the petty fines and fees collected by their municipal courts. The people that are going to be forced to foot the $8 million bill in St. Louis City will literally be the exact people already most targeted by the police. Instead of making communities safer, increased law enforcement devastates communities. We live in a country that imprisons more people than any society that has existed. The FBI reports that in 2011, cops in America killed 404 suspects in acts of justifiable homicide. Today, police kill Black Americans nearly the same rate as the lynching that occurred during the Jim Crow era, and young Black men are 21 more times likely to be shot dead by the police than white men. This is why, as a recent New York Times editorial points out, the scale of police harassment and killings in many Black communities that are justifiably seen as an alien, occupying force that is synonymous with state-sponsored abuse. Increased state repression in the U.S. is directly connected to the fact that we live in one of the most economically and racially unequal societies in human history. St. Louis ranks among the nation's metropolitan counties with the highest poverty rates. Nationally, the average white family has 6 times the total assets: house, car, savings, and retirement. As Black and Latino families as of 2010, women make 77 cents to every man's dollar for African American women. They earn 64 cents and Latino women earn 56 cents for every dollar earned by the white man. Increasing the minimum wage to $15 an hour is urgently needed to address poverty. Since a budget is the clearest statement of the politics and morality of government, instead of hiring more officers, we demand that $8 million proposed be the first among many investments for jobs, programs, and increased investments in healthcare and affordable housing. Furthermore, the facts outlined clearly above demonstrate need for an independent, democratically elected, fully funded civilian body with full powers over as the police steps towards community control of public safety. If these bodies also have the power to set budget priorities, this would allow St. Louisans to mobilize to demand programs that ordinary people actually need. Thank you.
We want to thank you. As you just heard, we feel that this is a misplaced priority from Mayor Slade and Chief Dotson. If they want to reduce crime, you provide the solutions toward the issue of poverty. Too many times, as she made mention, our youth are criminalized, and we have this unequal distribution of wealth here in this society. So on that note, we just entertained 1 or 2 questions, and then our press conference is over.
You opened up, sir, by using the word dictatorship.
Well, look at this here. Look at the police officer taking our picture.
Yeah,
By using the word dictatorship and noting the police presence, it's the chief and mayor's job to allot these assignments, and dictatorship. How is the dictatorship committed? How do you
the dictatorship?
Yeah.
Simply, I was making a point. The point is that the city hall should be a reflection of the people. With the overbearing presence of the police forces here, that sends a signal that is a wrong signal, that this is not a citadel for the people to come here. We simply sent out a notice that we're having a press conference, and we were going to deliver a statement, and you have this overwhelming police. So obviously it's a reflection of a dictatorship under the guise of democracy. So that's how I respond to that.
What do you say to the residents who are worried about crime? Last night we had 6 homicides in St. Louis. Today we have about 6 people here saying they don't want more police, but a lot of residents say they do.
Well, you know, there will be divisions in our community as it relates to how the whole question of policing. We're taking the position that to prevent crime, then that you need to get to the root of crime. And the root of it is poverty. And many times with an additional police, as well as another issue that has not been raised and proposed, one of the things that the coalition has always advocated is that there ought to be a proportionate number of Black officers working in our communities. How many of those proposed officers are to be Black? When you have a city here that's 50% Black basically and 50% white, yet the police force is over 64% white. And And that's why in our statement we say that many of the residents view the police officers as aliens, basically as an occupying force. So to that end, that we feel, as pointed out here, as said by the Kerner report, that the solution to the kind of crime that's prevalent in this community is jobs. Take that $8 million and instead of hiring 160 police officers, hire 160 black youth that need some jobs out here. Then you'll prevent crime. Yes, sir.
Are you making the link that just having those jobs are going to stop a night like we had last night here in St. Louis? Because I'm not sure.
Let me respond to that. Probably so. And then let me also say this, and I don't know the circumstances of the murder rate. First of all, it's a reflection that over 140 murders have been unsolved here. So, you know, in terms of putting more police on the streets, obviously isn't the answer. You know, if anything, in terms of priorities too, there should have been an emphasis in terms of more detectives taking some of these folks off, the patrol and investigating these murders and coming up with who are the perpetrators of it. And also, let me dispel what we feel may be a myth out here about just black on black crime. If you have not solved those crimes, some of the murders may be from people outside of the black, people who are perpetrating some of these murders being outside of the community, if you understand what I'm saying on that point. So I hope I answered your question.
Could you talk more about your point that you don't want to hire more police, but you're complaining that the crimes aren't being solved?
Right. We're saying the point, I'm going to re-emphasize it one more time. The point is that there needs to be more jobs. Because what happened is, when you have people who are unemployed, and you have the over-influence of alcohol stores in our community, with an infestation of drugs in our community, for a systematic purpose, then it leads to people's frustration and taking their frustrations out toward each other. We're saying, and that's by design, and we're saying that to solve that problem, instead of bringing in more people from outside of our community who do not have an empathy for our community and are not socially and culturally in tune with our community, and that's why we have so many instances of police violence in our community, and why we are at this point today. We're saying use those dollars to invest in jobs for our young people.
What if they said we wanted to hire 160 more black police officers? That would be a big problem.
That would on one hand, but what we're saying, we're not just saying for more black police officers. We're saying create some jobs that can lead toward people cleaning up our community in terms of the physical decay and a whole new attitude toward the expenditures of public dollars. I don't know how else I can better word that. Okay, his brother wanted to say something real quick.
I just wanted to say, like, what we just speaking of, if you got poverty and you got crime, if you got poverty and you got crime, poverty and crime, it's just a matter of time before, you can't get enough aside. And what he wants, he just want money allocated toward trying to make things better for our community. If we got better people understanding our communities, understanding our police, I'm not saying we're not for more law enforcement to a general, but what we do want is more, we just want them to pay more attention to the people over there in the community, in those bad areas. Start emphasizing, start bringing things and trying to enforce other things that can help those young black males, females, and everybody else, because females and people get killed out there in the city. And we just want to try to get help for our people. We're not asking nobody to go out there and not help and not patrol us, not help control the city or nothing. We just want to make sure that we get money or funding or anything that they can allocate to help our community. That's all we're asking for, just to help our community.
Would you be
okay
to say and spell your name for
My name is Anthony Cage. And like I said, we are here speaking. We didn't come here to cause no problem in City Hall. All we want to do is just deliver a letter to the mayor. The heavy police presence and all that. I mean, like you said, we are Americans, we are citizens just like everybody else. We don't mean no harm or nothing. All we just want to do is just deliver a letter, a peaceful letter. That's it. That's all we have.
Okay, then. All right, Mikhail.
and I personally went to deliver
the letter to the mayor, but that coward had the door locked. So he couldn't be right. He's supposed to be the mayor of all the people.
Did you not, sir?
I knocked. They won't. The door was locked. The door was never locked. Been coming out, going to that office for a long time. The door was locked. But if you're the mayor of all the people, if this was white South Side or the Hill with a complaint, that door wouldn't be locked. And let's make this clear. He's not the mayor of all the people, especially not the disenfranchised. So let's be clear about that. Then let me also share with you that we have a right. These are our tax dollars. We don't need 180 police. We need 180 ways of opportunity, because people with jobs usually are less happy to commit crimes. See, you guys in the press get it, but your job also to highlight what goes on the north side. You quote that, but you're not pushing the opportunities. Because when a man and a woman have opportunity to feed their family, I very seriously doubt they'll commit a crime. Check any of those that's committing crimes and ask them, do they have a job? You'll find out they don't. So that's a mayor for the rich and the advantage, not for the disenfranchised. And he has no place in this modern society. And quote me correctly, that's a coward up there. And it came from Akil Ali.
All right, so we'll take one last question and then we're done. All right, we want to again thank the press for being in attendance. Thank you. And as he mentioned, it has been delivered as opposed. All right.
With the door locked, did I check with them? Coward locked the door. Who you working for?